Some wear plain sneakers. Some live in homes so modest you'd mistake them for middle-class suburbs. And a few give away everything they own. But here's the paradox. Their simplicity is not weakness, it's power. The gray t-shirts, the budget flights, the same houses they've lived in for decades. These are not random quirks. They are signals, a language of discipline that only the world's most powerful understand. Because when you strip away the noise of yachts, supercars, and diamond watches, you begin to see something deeper, a kind of control most flashy billionaires will never achieve. And one man, often called the poorest looking billionaire in America, has mastered this art by design. Stay with us until the end, because the final name on this list doesn't just redefine wealth. He redefines what power really looks like when it no longer needs to be seen. If you passed him on the street, you wouldn't look twice. Gray t-shirt, jeans, sneakers, no entourage, no diamond watch, and yet you just walked past a man worth over $120 billion. Mark Zuckerberg isn't hiding his wealth. He's weaponizing invisibility. While other billionaires flaunt their hypercars and mega yachts, Zuckerberg lives in a modest Palo Alto home. He drives mid-tier sedans, and he wears the same neutral outfit nearly every day. Not out of frugality, out of strategy. This uniform is not about saving money. It's about saving bandwidth. Zuckerberg himself has explained that eliminating small, unnecessary choices frees his mind for the only decisions that matter, billion-dollar ones. It's the same principle Olympic athletes use before competition, the same system military units follow before combat. Decision fatigue is the silent killer of performance, and Zuckerberg has removed it from his life. But his minimalist image sends another message too. It tells investors and regulators that he isn't distracted by luxury. It tells his employees he's building systems, not collecting toys. And it tells the public that power doesn't always need to scream. No yachts, no exotic car collections. Instead, he pours billions into AI labs, global data infrastructure, and metaverse architecture. His wealth doesn't sit still, it scales. Even his home, though worth millions, is understated. No golden gates, no palace-like exterior. The design is functional, private, and secure. His lifestyle looks modest, but it's engineered with the same precision as his platforms. Because here's the truth. When your fortune is this public, the smartest move isn't being seen, it's being underestimated. Mark Zuckerberg's gray t-shirt isn't just cotton, it's armor. He could have bought a fleet of Bentleys. Instead, he drove a 1993 Volvo 240 until the end of his life. At his peak, his net worth approached $40 billion. His company, IKEA, became a household name in over 50 countries. Yet Ingvar Kamprad lived like a man who had just opened his first store. It wasn't performance, it was doctrine. Kamprad flew economy class. He stayed in budget hotels. He reused tea bags. He shopped at flea markets for clothes. Every action, no matter how small, reinforced the cultural DNA of frugality that defined IKEA from day one. He once wrote, "Wasting resources is a mortal sin." And at IKEA, that principle wasn't a slogan, it was gospel. Flat pack furniture, born from the idea of reducing shipping and storage costs. Warehouse layouts where you pick up your own items, designed to eliminate inefficiency. Clean, functional, timeless designs. They mirrored Kamprad's own life. Simple, direct, unpretentious. At the top, he set the example. If the founder lived simply, no executive could justify extravagance. At IKEA, status symbols weren't luxury cars or designer suits. They were solutions, ideas, efficiencies. Kamprad saw indulgence as a liability. More leaders obsessed over comfort, the less they innovated. He understood that luxury dulls focus, and focus was his sharpest weapon. When he passed away in 2018, it wasn't in a gilded palace. It was in a modest home, in a quiet Swedish village, exactly as he had lived. Because for Kamprad, wealth wasn't about gold or glamour. It was about culture, a system of values that scaled across continents, outlived him, and turned simplicity into one of the most powerful corporate empires in history. Ingvar Kamprad didn't just run IKEA. He was IKEA. He walked through airports like any other traveler. Plastic watch, worn-out shoes, no entourage. This wasn't just another man catching a flight. This was Chuck Feeney, the billionaire who built an $8 billion empire, then gave it all away in silence. Feeney co-founded Duty-Free Shoppers, a luxury retail giant that turned airports into gold mines. His partners bought yachts, mansions, and limousines. But Feeney, he rented a modest apartment, he took taxis, he wore the same $15 Casio watch for decades. His mission wasn't to accumulate, it was to eliminate. Through his foundation, the Atlantic Philanthropies, he donated to education, healthcare, and human rights causes in over 30 countries. Universities in Ireland, hospitals in Vietnam, peace programs in South Africa, all carried his invisible fingerprint. He pioneered the idea of giving while living, not waiting for a will, not waiting for a legacy, giving while he still had time to see the results. While billionaires signed pledges with cameras flashing, Feeney signed checks in silence. He gave anonymously for decades, often hiding behind shell charities so recipients never knew where the money came from. When Forbes finally exposed him, the world was shocked. The man who lived in cheap apartments had secretly moved billions. By the time his foundation shut down in 2020, Feeney's fortune was nearly gone, reduced to less than $2 million. For most billionaires, that would be failure. For Chuck Feeney, it was mission complete. In Beverly Hills, billionaires compete with glass palaces and golden garages. But in Omaha, Nebraska, the fifth richest man on earth still wakes up in the same brick house he bought in 1958 for just $31,500. That man is Warren Buffett. Net worth over $100 billion. Lifestyle almost indistinguishable from his neighbors. Every morning, Buffett drives himself to McDonald's for breakfast. The order depends on how the stock market looks. $2.60 in for a sausage biscuit if he's feeling cautious. $3.17 for bacon and eggs if optimism runs high. He washes it down with Coca-Cola, sometimes 5 cans a day. No private chefs, no gold-plated kitchens. Just the habits of a man who treats routine as strategy. His car, not a Ferrari, not a Rolls-Royce. A modest Cadillac XTS, chosen not for prestige, but because it works. His jet? For years, he refused to own one at all, calling it the indefensible. When he finally bought one, he renamed it the indispensable, but even then, he only used it when Berkshire Hathaway business demanded. Buffett's simplicity isn't frugality, it's engineering. By cutting noise, he protects his greatest asset, time to think. He said it himself, "I insist on a lot of time being spent almost every day to just sit and think." And that thinking built an empire. Berkshire Hathaway, with over 60 subsidiaries and a $1 trillion portfolio, still runs like a small-town operation. CEOs report directly to him, sometimes by handwritten letter. No bloated org charts, no Silicon Valley-style innovation labs, just businesses that work. His modest home has no ballroom, no swimming pool, no helipad. But for Buffett, happiness compounds the way wealth does. Not in square footage, but in habits. And that's the secret. While billionaires flaunt mansions and mega yachts, Buffett built something rarer: clarity. He proved that in a world obsessed with excess, the most valuable luxury isn't gold, it's peace of mind. He built a fashion empire that touches every continent, fills millions of wardrobes, and changed the way the world shops. And yet, if you passed him on the street, you wouldn't even know his name. Amancio Ortega, founder of Zara and parent company Inditex, is worth more than $70 billion. But unlike other billionaires, Ortega doesn't chase attention. No Instagram, no interviews, only a handful of photos exist, and none of them by his choice. Ortega built his empire by staying invisible. He started as a shirt maker's apprentice in northern Spain, where others obsessed over style, he obsessed over systems. He studied inefficiency. He noticed that while luxury brands worked by seasons, the streets worked by weeks. Fashion was slow. Ortega made it fast. And yet, while his company scaled into the largest fashion retailer in the world, Ortega himself lived modestly. For years, he lived in a simple apartment above one of his first stores. He wears Zara basics, not as a gimmick, but as feedback, testing the very system he created. Luxury used to be loud. Now, the smartest billionaires make it quiet. For Mark Zuckerberg, wearing the same gray shirt every day isn't about saving money. It's about saving focus. For Warren Buffett, living in the same $31,000 house for decades isn't nostalgia, it's discipline. This simplicity simplicity is more than habit, it's strategy. By removing distractions, they protect the only resource they can't buy, attention. And by rejecting excess, they send a signal. Discipline builds trust, humility builds culture, and impact lasts longer than luxury. From Chuck Feeney giving away his billions in silence, loudest wealth isn't always the most powerful. Real control is quiet. In a world where most billionaires chase cameras, these few proved something radical. Power doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need yachts or mansions or gold-plated jets. It only needs focus, discipline, and a system that outlives the person who built it. Billionaire surprised you the most? The one who gave it all away? Or the one who never needed to prove he had it? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you believe discipline builds stronger empires than diamonds ever will, hit like, tap subscribe, and join us here on Luxurish, because the next story is already waiting and you won't want to miss it.